What's that?
Our dad's an X on the seat.
Okay, so let's start with the back leg, and we'll break it down systematically here. Um, Back leg's got to get ready. It's got to go on every pitch. He needs to stay in front of the foot. Should stay bent. We want to push here from the top of the femur, gluteus medius at the top of the femur. We're pushing, sideways. I think you're getting a pretty good drive there from the back leg. Good enough sideways press. And so it's getting ready and it's going. Just don't force it to turn over. His foot is still more sideways here than yours is, and so you might be forcing a little bit of turn there. I think that's really more because you're rushing the upper body a little bit. Overall, the back leg's not bad. Front side, front leg, we want to keep it square. You used to tend to bail on it a little bit. You do that a little bit. You kind of start open, and then you kind of move in, and then you kind of fall away a little bit there towards the end. So I'd really make sure that you feel yourself not moving away from the plate with your lead leg. I think your front leg goes into a little bit of premature extension, just a little bit, because of the upper body. So if I take my upper body, I'm here, and I just do this. See, I'm turning my upper body, but because my upper body is pulling kind of on the bottom, it almost pulls that leg straight. You see that? Mm-hmm. Whereas what you really want is you want to land bent, and you want this leg, as you're going right through contact, to drive itself straight. You don't want to feel like the upper body turns it straight. Does that make any sense? Okay, so I see a little bit of that. And so in a nutshell, again, I think we're rushing the upper a little bit. Another thing that'll show you that is, right after contact, you see how his arm begins to straighten, whereas your arm is still bent? Okay? So he more or less braces up his upper body, and that's going to force that arm to whip out. So I can get to that ball by bracing up and letting the arm whip out and finish the throw through contact, or I can kind of turn through it to get to it. So those all relate to, more turning of the upper. You start to, in my opinion, use these muscles a little bit too much and too soon. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, when you don't need to. Okay? And you can see here, I can still see his whole chest here, and I'm seeing your back here. Okay? You're seeing him finished with his arms, your back elbow's still bent. Does that make sense? Okay, also, if I'm tracing your spine, I see some tilt in the spine, but not near to the degree that he has. So again, the simple cue there where the upper body is, more tilt, less turn. You can't have too much tilt because you do the two things you got to have tilt. You got to get off of the backside. You can't be on the back, and you're off of the backside. Okay. And the other thing is you keep the barrel stacked. Okay. So you have those two things: off the backside, stacked barrel. There's no such thing as too much tilt. You want to get as much as you can, as long as you're driving and as long as you're stacked. Get as much tilt as you can and minimize the turn. Focus more on bracing and less on turning. If I'm nitpicking you, I still think that elbow gets too far behind you when you load. Too much scap. You want more rotator cuff, less of this. One last thing, and I think if you'll focus on the tilt, this will also help with this, is I'm seeing and see if you see it. Maybe I'll slow it down a little bit. harder. It's actually easier to see in full speed. I see right before contact this kind of down move at the ball, right there where I feel like the head, everything. You see how far the head goes forward? It's like your head is poking out to see the ball. Okay, it's hard to maintain tilt if you're doing that. If you're really going down and moving your head to see it. Let's play it through a few more times live speed, and see. You see? Can you see it? Loop it. So, there's just this, at the instant of contact, this, let me get my head down here and see it instead of just keeping the head back and seeing it out front. Yeah, so I think if you had your head back at that point here, you wouldn't, you would be better able to tilt, which is going to fix a lot of this stuff. You know, in terms of the popping out, if I'm making a downward move at the last second, everything goes down, my barrel goes down, everything goes down, you're only talking about a half an inch, you know, is going to make all the difference in the world as to where the ball goes. So I think this, you know, and again, you know, when you're talking about, you know, over a short period of time, pop-ups, if I was, you know, my best guess is this certainly isn't helping things, this kind of downward kind of collapse. And the head is going to move down a little bit. It's going to move forward and down anytime we make that press forward. That's normal. But I'm just seeing, you know, right at this point, head kind of leading the whole body down. And if everything's going down, then you might be under that ball a quarter of an inch more than you thought. Okay? But what am I saying? Stop turning and give me more tilt. Start trying to finish be closer to finished at contact than back here. What if you threw balls and your arm wasn't fully extended? It wouldn't go anywhere, right? It's the same. So if you're making a sidearm throw from short, you're not going to throw it like that. You want to get here, you're going to release it here, you're going to get close to extended, then it's going to fully extend and pronate. But if you're doing this, you can't get extended. Comments? Disagreements? Questions? Huh?
I'm good.
How do you fix that? You just consciously have to be aware.
Well, if you go on to the, I've got to tell you, it's actually me, Barry, and Ryan Adams, and we're working with Ryan on not forcing rotation with his upper body. And so we start with just this. We just learn how to move. We're not even taking a stride. We're learning, hey, I can finish this throw without turning my shoulders. Okay? Then you add a step to it. Boom. I can finish my throw without, I'm tilting, not turning. Okay? Then you put a bat in your hands. Boom. Draw. Then you add the tee. Okay? And you keep going through. And I tell you the thing, Gio Patel and I did every day when we started, one of the biggest things that helped me was we started off with a ball in our hands just to get the throwing pattern down. And we would go right here, just like we're hitting. And everything we throw right down the right field line, focus on all that tilt and no turn. Your head, though, Eric, if your head goes down at the ball like you're doing, the body's going to follow the head. I think that's where you start. If you'll keep your head back, throughout the swing, you'll maintain that tilt. Head back, and then learn to finish this throw without turning your shoulders. Work everything down the right field line, because the reality of the fact is you turn less down the right field line, middle, in. You're going to turn more. But to fix your over-rotation and this kind of head-down forward tilt, you get some sleep. What'd you do, stay up all night?
No, he woke up too late. Had too much sleep.
No, I haven't been getting sleep all week.
So,
straight.